Are you a noob? Let's figure that out. Because today I'm going over some of the biggest noob mistakes that you could make in Pokemon Go, including some controversial ones. Raise your hand if you Mega Evolve your Pokemon every single day. Put your hand down if you're a noob. Now, we're all guilty of this, myself included, but choosing to not take advantage of Pokemon Go's Mega Evolution system is one of the noobiest things that you could do in-game. Megas are the single most overpowered thing in Pokemon Go, hands down. They give bonuses including extra catch candy, higher chance at XL candy, extra XP, and extra damage for your friends in raids. And in nearly every single typing category, Mega Pokemon are the strongest and most useful overall. We'll talk about that in a second though. Let's talk Mega levels. Mega Pokemon have 3 levels: base, high, and max. To get max, you have to Mega Evolve a specific Pokemon 30 days once a day for 30 days, which is specifically why it's newbie to not be evolving every single day. Here's a quick tip, by the way. Just create a tag for all of the Pokemon that you're working to max level Mega. Tag them so that you can go into your tagged Pokemon, you could find the ones that you need to Mega Evolve, you can roll through, Mega Evolve all of them in like a couple of minutes, and you're done for the day. And the main reason that you're going to want to do this is not for the attack bonus, it's not for the extra candy, it's not for the extra XP, it's for the XL candy. You see, XL candy is the single most important resource in the entire game, and it basically just allows you to power up your Pokemon from level 40 up to level 50, which is maxing them out fully. And there's nothing more satisfying than having a Pokemon with no more power-up button on it. And to get XL candy, it's as simple as just catching Pokemon, but it's super duper rare. The Silph Road conducted a study on over 16,000 Pokemon caught, and here's what they found. Each Pokemon had different odds of dropping an XL candy when caught, depending on its level, or like its catch CP, with the lowest odds being 1 out of 100, and the highest odds being 1 in 3 for like max level Pokemon. Cheese, oh my god, my cat brought me a cheese. He brings toys and meows at us because he provides for us. That's a winning cat. So overall, XL candy's super rare to get. But if you have a max level Mega Pokemon Mega Evolved while catching Pokemon of the same typing as the Mega, these numbers look completely different. The XL candy per catch goes up by 0.25, and although that seems like a small number, it makes a huge difference. And this technically means if you catch a 10 CP Charmander in the wild, your odds of getting an XL candy from the catch go from an average of 0.03 XLs to a whopping 0.78 XLs per catch if you have a max level Mega Charizard active while catching the Charmander. That is an insane difference. That is literally broken how much of a difference that makes. And this is how some of the best players in the entire world have literally thousands of XL candies for some of the most meta-relevant Pokemon in the entire game, which is especially useful during events like Community Day, where one single Pokemon spawns the entire time. But honestly, even during normal events, this is important because there's events like Adventure Week where it's all rock-type Pokemon spawning in the wild, so you can have a max-level Mega Aerodactyl and just benefit overall. Also, you get 100 XP extra every time you catch a Pokemon of the same typing of your max level Mega. And if you've watched my interviews with top players like Fleece King and Brandon Ton, you'll know they use every single possible method to farm as much XP as possible. So by having a max level Mega Charizard active on Charmander Community Day, you're getting literally thousands upon thousands of extra XP just by catching. Mega Pokemon are a literal cheat code. Take advantage of them, please. There are events happening all of the time in Pokemon Go, and lately there's been a lot featuring kind of the same normal, boring Pokemon. But are they actually that boring? Noobs will say yes, but if you know, you know. Some of the most boring Pokemon in Pokemon Go happen to be some of the best in the entire game. Look, not everything can be as cool as a Shadow Shiny Mewtwo, but that doesn't mean that these things are not worth catching. Which is why anytime a new update is announced, I always talk about on this channel which Pokemon are spawning and which ones are meta-relevant and worth catching. So if you want that information, make sure to subscribe because we're also closing in on 3 million subs, which is insane. Let me give you some examples of some seemingly boring Pokemon that we kind of see a lot that are always worth catching. Ghastly, because Mega Gengar is the best poison type and one of the best ghost types. Mankey, because its evolution is the 3rd best overall in the Great League. Houndour, because Mega Houndoom is the 3rd best overall dark type. Skarmory is the 4th best Pokemon in the Great League. Darumaka, because its evolution Darmanitan as a shadow is the 5th best overall fire type. Wooper's evolution Quagsire is 7th in the Great League. Swinub's Shadow evolution Shadow Mamoswine is the 2nd best overall ice type in the entire game. Poliwag's evolution Poliwrath is the 6th best in the Ultra League, and Pidgey, because its evolution Pidgeot, is the 8th best in the Ultra League. So just because a Pokemon maybe doesn't have a shiny, maybe looks dumb, or is like nobody's favorite Pokemon, doesn't mean it's not worth catching and not worth grinding. A big tip: Don't just focus on the cool catches. Now, this next noob mistake shouldn't exist at all, and it's honestly not even the player's fault. But raiding relevant Pokemon the first day they're released has quickly become one of the riskiest things you can do. It's a fast way to light Pokecoins, raid passes, and literal money on fire. This is because Niantic, the developers of Pokemon GO, have become notoriously good at ruining Day 1 raids for many Pokemon. For example, during Go Fest this year, Day 1 Ultra Beast raids were glitched and players could not encounter them with their special catch cards, which to Niantic's credit will result in a future special research giving players free Ultra Beast encounters, so that's awesome. Recently, Shadow Lugia came back to raids, and on the first day of release, players literally couldn't beat it. This is because it would become enraged, making it super hard to damage, then would stay enraged for the rest of the raid instead of going back down to normal Shadow, which made the raids impossible to defeat. And actually, if you just scroll on the Niantic support Twitter account, literally all their recent posts are apologies for raid day mistakes and bugs. There was an issue with Mega Lucario raid day where certain time zones didn't have their bonuses active for several hours. Mega Rayquaza raid day had huge issues where elite raids weren't showing up at all, which resulted in a makeup raid day. And these issues have been happening for years. Really, ever since the remote raid hype of 2020, raids have constantly been plagued with bugs on the first day of release, which typically impacts the APAC region who get the raids first. So especially if you live in that region, FOMOing into raids is just mad risky. And the worst part about all of this is the fact that it's like real life, really expensive. So bugs centered around raids are tough because it's people's real money that's being wasted here. But you can see why this is such a difficult noob mistake. If you're a hardcore player, you're gonna grind the raids on day 1. So the smartest way to do this, stay updated on both Twitter and Reddit to the community and the hardcore community and the APAC region to see if the raids are working correctly, because people do report on this because it is such a problem. If you've watched my interviews with top players like Brandon Ton and Fleece King, you would have noticed one huge similarity. Not transferring shinies in Pokemon GO might be one of the noobiest things that you could do. But don't worry, I don't transfer them either. Well, sorta. Now, why is it newbie to keep your precious shiny Pokemon? After all, these are the most valuable things like in the entire game. It's like what the whole game is about now. It makes sense to hoard them and to transfer everything else, but let me explain. Right now in Pokemon GO, you can store a total of 8,300 Pokemon in your account. And that is a lot of Pokemon. But most players, including myself, have not spent the money to completely max the storage out because it's honestly really expensive. So all of us can most likely store only a couple thousand Pokemon right now. And running out of storage space is a really common issue that a lot of players run into, and it's always very annoying. So, what happens when you fill your storages up? What Pokemon should you go and transfer? When you talk to the best players in history, they'll tell you they go straight for the shinies. And this is simply because shiny Pokemon have absolutely zero relevancy in the meta. They just simply look cool. So if your account has filled up with relevant Pokemon used for PvP, Team Go Rocket, and raids, you'll need to find something not relevant to transfer. Listen, transferring useless shiny Pokemon instead of like anything else is a huge sacrifice to make. And most players really don't care enough about relevancy to make the sacrifice. But also everyone plays a bit differently and everyone has different goals. Like for example, there's some people that are working on a living lucky dex, which basically means you have one of every single Pokemon ever released lucky in your account, which is crazy. And to do that or something like that, you need a lot of space. So why keep a bunch of random duplicate shiny Pokemon when a lucky dex is your goal? Or maybe you collect 100% IV Pokemon, and to make room for them, you gotta get rid of some shinies. Or maybe you're like me and you're just a shiny collector and you'd rather transfer anything else. The best part about Pokemon GO is that you get to decide how to play and what to do with your account. All I'm saying is don't be afraid to transfer a shiny or two. And if you do, here's a huge pro tip. If your storage is filling up and you have hundreds of duplicate shiny Pokemon that you're just never going to use, here's something that you could do with them. Transfer them to Home. Pokemon Home is a system created officially by Pokemon that essentially acts as a centralized bank for your Pokemon. You can transfer Pokemon from these games you see on screen into Pokemon Home, and from Pokemon Home into these other games you see on screen. Just know that when you transfer a Pokemon from Pokemon GO to Pokemon Home, you cannot transfer it back. But this allows you to keep all your rare shiny Pokemon, while at the same time removing them from your Pokemon GO account to free up space for more important stuff. Okay, noobs, let's get one thing straight. Nobody likes a cheater, and that goes for anything. Video games, tests, business, relationships. It's a newbie thing to be a cheater. It's the fast and easy way, and typically it's the less fulfilling way, and it's frowned upon. And in Pokemon GO, cheating has been a huge problem since the release back in 2016. Over the years, I've been a huge advocate of anti-cheat methods in banning spoofers, and in my opinion, it made the game and the community a better place since spoofing gave players such a huge unfair advantage. But honestly, over the years, my tune has changed a little bit. I'll get back to why I think cheating is newbie, but first, let me just take their side for a second. One of the reasons why I was so against cheating is because I had faith in the developers Niantic to make the game better and more fun to play so that nobody needed to cheat. But after years and years of gameplay, that never really happened. Only until the COVID pandemic, where Pokemon GO made huge changes to make the game more fun and playable from home. Things like more wild spawns, longer community days, double Pokestop spin radius, and remote raids were introduced and completely changed the game and made it fun to play from wherever you were. But after the pandemic was over, Pokemon GO removed most of them. And now we're back to where we were before. And that is a cat. The game is really only fun to play if you live in a big city, have a huge local community around, or if you cheat. So nowadays, I don't blame cheaters for cheating, but it's still a newbie thing to do. Why? Over the years, Pokemon GO has implemented more and more anti-cheat methods to catch spoofers and eventually ban them. And if your account gets flagged for cheating, it could technically disappear forever. Pokemon GO technically has the right to delete your account at any point for any reason without any consequence or needing to ask permission. They can just wipe you out. Boom, just like that, years of grinding gone. And by spoofing, you significantly increase the chances that that happens to you and your account. Personally, if my account got banned and cheated, I would probably quit. I'd keep making Pokemon GO videos, but it would never be the same for me. And that goes for most players. Pokemon GO is a very unique game where it costs tons of money and time to grind, to level up, and to collect. So watching all of that completely get obliterated can be soul crushing. If you love your account, you love the game, you love the progress that you've made, probably just shouldn't cheat. What's the noobiest thing you've done in Pokemon GO? Let me know in the comments below and watch these videos on screen right now. Click them quick.